Welcome, everyone, to another fantastic episode of the best damn comic book review podcast around the Phoenix area, the world, and the internet in general. It is Tales from the Spinner Rack. As the Spinner Rack turns, so do the days of our lives. I am Matt.
Oh,
I like it. I'm Corbin.
I'm Jay.
Welcome, everyone. We got a lot of books to get down to and dirty with this week. Before we kick it off, though, I want to start on a little bit of a somber note and say that the comic book community lost a legend this week, and Mr. Denny O'Neil. He had a huge impact on the comic book industry. He is a name that is as synonymous with the creative team as Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Bill Finger and Bob Kane. You name it, they pretty much go together. So it's sad that we lost Denny O'Neil. His artist partner and Neil Adams penned him a nice op-ed or obituary in only the way Neil Adams could. Maybe not even obituary, but just a letter of thanks almost, in only the way Neil Adams could. But if you're familiar with Denny O'Neil, he did give a lot to the world of comics, and he made changes to the world of comics that are still felt today. He's pretty much the reason why superheroes face real world problems, because that was his writing style. He brought his real world experiences and his real world issues into the comic book industry and made those heroes face that. That's why you saw things like Speedy dealing with heroin addiction and things like that. So it's sad that we lost a major player in the comic book industry. But like I said on Friday in Absolute Geek Podcast, that's these older creators. That's just something we're going to have to start getting used to, because they're getting up in age.
Why do you keep sticking to that?
I got to be a realist, dude. I got to be a realist.
Gosh.
I know it sucks, but you got to be a realist.
Yeah,
So,
I get you.
He was 81. That's a big bucket of win. Long career.
That is a long career.
Yeah.
It was sucks. I mean, you already mentioned all the work he did as far as grounding superheroes, making them more three-dimensional, bringing in real issues, attacking race, attacking drugs, totally being one of the key members alongside, like you said, Neil Adams, responsible for the remaking of the modern Batman. I highly recommend reading Detective Comics 395. It's like the unofficial introduction of the darker Batman we've come to know. Also, I think it's Batman. I just read it earlier, 251, for like the modern remaking of the Joker as we know him as well. He of course got much darker, but this was just that transition from the campy 60s and the wacky 50s into, more gothic kind of heroes and villains and themes. And it's a shame. He was a wonderful writer. Highly recommend Batman Venom. Not only does it introduce the Venom drug that would indirectly be responsible for Bane as a character, but also is a deep story about a man in Batman who is just reaching his physical limitations and is faced with the tantalizing prospect of something that could help him to be more effective in saving people, but comes with a terrible cost, and how to weigh whether being addicted to a drug or something, even on a good cause or with good intentions, could still be just as detrimental. And he just did so many stories like that. Ra's al Ghul, all these other characters and stories and such, that as a presence of the person, it's sad to see him go. The inspiration he's given to so many of the writers of our time now, and illustrators and people in the comic world. But at least his work still lives on, and we can continue to keep that alive and read that and talk about these themes and have those discussions. So.
Yeah, like Solo just said in the chat, he had a very long, hard life, which is why what we saw in his writing, and he's absolutely correct. He definitely let his art imitate life, or life imitate art, whichever way you want to go about that.
Exactly.
And it's sad to see it go, but like the old saying, legends are heroes come and go, but legends never die. And Denny O'Neil was definitely a legend to the comic book industry, and he left a lasting impact that'll be felt for years and generations of collectors to come. So it is sad, but you celebrate that life and the accomplishment that he gave. And even though the man is gone, his work will last a lifetime. So he's gone, but not forgotten.
Yeah. I didn't really know a lot about him personally, but I think it was really interesting in that Neil Adams piece. He said he was like a journalist, like one of those down and dirty like journal like all the president's men type journalists that would get in the trenches. And he said he was a newsman, and he said, and if I remember correctly, he said he like didn't grow up reading comics.
Yeah, no, yep, he did not.
And it was really interesting that what a unique perspective he gave to the genre, almost like somebody that maybe grew up reading and maybe couldn't have done that because it's like he was on the outside looking in on it, and the way he wrote the superheroes was different. Like Corbin was saying, yeah, you even read the Green Lantern, Green Arrow series. I mean, like Corbin was saying, they talk about like real life, they talk about homelessness or homeless. They talk about I think there was one where Green Lantern and Green Arrow like battle like a slumlord,
Yeah.
And there was a really interesting dialogue. I don't remember what issue it was, but I remember Green Lantern was talking to one of the tenants in this building, and the tenant looks at Green Lantern. He goes, hey, he goes, I see you in the papers, and he said, I see you helping green skin folks, blue skin folks. He goes, how come I never see you helping black skin folks? And Green Lantern was like, my gosh, she's totally right. And he like went out and specifically like he realized he was right. Because I'm helping everybody in the galaxy, but I'm not helping the people here on Earth that really need me. Like, gosh, that's awesome. Like, I've never seen anything like that, before that issue. And I don't know, it was awesome. It was great that the perspective he brought to books like this is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for everything you've done, Denny, and we're gonna move on from there. So we're gonna move on to our pickups this week. Our new pickups, our number ones, key issues, anything like that we got. You want to go ahead and kick that off, Corbin?
Yeah. I got a few things. Shout out to Brian, Absolute Geek member. I got a whole bunch of Wizard magazines. We're talking about a whole short box of them. And comic, yeah, I know, Jay. And comic industry books. These are literally just 5 I grabbed of a whole box full. Comic readers.
Oh, I remember that Spider-Man one.
Yep, and it's a whole box of that. So that was fire. In addition, I also grabbed a bunch of books for my Next Time Baby list, which is an homage to Terrence. It's Terrence Howard, right?
Yes.
The original War Machine
one. Yep.
Exactly. Roadie. Next Time Baby. That's books I'm gonna buy in the future. But this was for my last Next Time Baby list. We have Amazing Spider-Man 375. Yep.
That's the first comic book I ever owned.
There we go. ASM 375. I got the Iron Man 200. Ironmonger.
Cool.
Inspiration for Iron Man 1. This was one of my personal favorites. ASM 178. The Green Goblin. Bart Hamilton, interesting little twist and storyline there. And then my favorite, ASM 346, and that fire cover. So really happy to have these books, all of that, and then a bunch of Wizard magazines, and a nice noir Batman Hush, which is pretty cool too. So I just grabbed a bunch of books. I really had a fruitful search. I got a Godzilla book. Actually, Jane knows about this. I got a Godzilla trade. That was a new one, but had come in like just slightly damaged. The shop gave it half off at another shop. So it's been a fulfilling haul, and I'm happy to have a bunch of books.
There you go. I had a big week for pickups myself.
Mm-hmm.
A big boy week. Got Amazing Spider-Man 50, first appearance of the Kingpin.
And here comes the booms.
I got the Amazing Spider-Man 61, first cover appearance of Gwen Stacy.
I was there for that. Yeah, that was crazy.
I got Amazing Spider-Man 90, Death of Captain Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I also picked up, speaking of Denny O'Neil, Amazing Spider-Man 210, first appearance of Madam Web, written by Denny O'Neil.
Solid.
9.2.
9.2. He's been going for those graded books like they know tomorrow, man. One day.
So that those were my big pickups this week. Big week.
It has been. At least for the classics and the stuff we could get from the shops.
What did you pick anything up other than your pull list this week, Jay?
Nothing like old, older like you guys did. I picked up Adventure Man #1. The Image put that out. I picked up Flash #755, and that's about it. Other than and Deadpool #5.
Ooh.
So, Adventure Man #1 is written by Matt Fraction. So that's the only reason I picked that up.
I picked that up as well. I have not yet read it, but I picked
Me
it
either.
up as well.
Me either. So
solid though.
All right.
Yeah, a little haul. That was good. I was satisfied. I feel really good about my stuff. I know it's gonna take me a little bit to get through those books, but what fun! Nothing better than going down and dollar bin diving and finding some good hookups and some good deals, man. None beats
Definitely.
it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's kick this week's show off and get into our reviews, and then we'll do the news and then buy our pass for next week. I think this week is fitting to call it Punchline Week. This week was all about Punchline and Batman. So let's go ahead and we're going to kick today's review off with Batman 92. I think it's only fitting to start with Batman 92 with that cover that everyone was searching for the longest time, that Art Germ Punchline variant that was supposed to be, I think, on originally issue 94 and got pushed back to 92. So to come out early, but Batman 92, what were your guys' initial thoughts on Batman 92?
I mean, just throwing it out there, I love that with James Tynion, his storylines have been interesting in that so many of his books have been almost standalone issues within bigger story arcs. And it's like this Venn diagram of such where you have this overarching arc, and then a story inside of that going into another bigger arc and a story inside. I could pick up each book, and such as in 92, have a beginning, middle, and end of my story while transitioning yet into a bigger story where all the books go together to form a run. And I just find myself loving that style. It almost reminds me of comics written, in the 80s and 90s where, you had storylines come together, but because of the writers at the time, it was so dense and so packed that each issue had its own story inside. And so that's really my first thought on 92.
Well, so Batman 92 saw the Batman still fighting Deathstroke, and then he gets caught in a game with the Riddler where the Riddler basically turns the entire city into a crossword puzzle, and he is giving out clues, and Batman is just answering these clues left and right, and it's frustrating the Riddler to where Riddler thinks he's cheating. He cuts him off from everything. He can't talk to Lucius Fox. He can't talk to anybody. It's just Batman versus the Riddler with Deathstroke, and Batman is just, at every turn he is besting the Riddler, and the Riddler is getting more and more angry about how this is happening. Then you also see Harley Quinn and Catwoman are in the sewer. They're still going to pursue the designer, and they come across an entrance. They're going into the designer's area to rob a bank. They're going to rob a bank, and you see that you get your first face-to-face with Punchline and Harley Quinn. And Catwoman tells Harley this is the Joker's new girlfriend. Punchline is quick to say, no, I'm his partner. Not his girlfriend, I'm his partner. And you kind of see that. You start to get that face-to-face with her and Harley Quinn, and they start to throw down as it cuts to basically the end of the book, cuts to the designer sitting in Bruce's office, and he knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne. So for me, crazy book. I like that it started with the Penguin in the hospital, and you still got to see a little bit more of Deathstroke in Batman's fight. I love that it moved into the Joker stuff, and you can kind of see that the Riddler is losing it, and the Riddler is losing it so much that Batman's like, I recognize where you were. We've been here before. I've seen you. You've done this before. Like, I knew this office. I knew right where you were. I knew all of this. Like, you're slipping, you know, and there's basically saying that the Riddler is not on his game. He's slipping. Batman bested him. It's good. I mean, we talked about it on Friday. This punchline stuff, they're slow playing it. Like this week, we got a lot of punchline stuff. She was in Batman 92. You saw her fight against Harley Quinn, her first big role in this book. You got to see her in Batman Secret Files. You got to see her origin story in the Joker 80th anniversary issue. You got a lot of her, and they're real slow playing her. But I feel like you're getting a lot, but you're not getting a lot at the same time. Because I kind of feel like she's not giving you anything of substance. We have yet to get anything of substance. And I even kind of feel like her origin story wasn't anything of substance. To me, like, I know you liked it, but to me, it kind of felt like a weak origin story. Like, there's more there.
But that's why I liked it.
Yeah.
Because you get the bare bones, and like you said, they're slow paying it. So as you go on, it's like the Joker's origin. I mean, that's been up to several different interpretations and everything, but you have some basic outline of what it is. Boom. That on itself doesn't stand for much. It really doesn't. But then there's little nuggets and pockets that can be filled in that ultimately can flesh out this rather anonymous backstory for a character that almost the less you know about them, the better, in the sense of the perceived threat of said character. And that's why I like it. You're right, on its own. Like, if you take that story and go, boom, it's your cookie cutter plot. But it just feels like there's so much more to Punchline. And we know that there is. That's what makes it so much more interesting. But I'm with you on that. I'm going to throw another thought out. I like the fact that this book, one, the artwork was amazing. Really just like the way that Gilliam March and Tomei Mori, as far as color and just art, made not only the Riddler look just crazy, but like in a cool kind of way, almost manic. Batman, there was some scenes that were just resonate, like look back on the panel worthy scenes. And then also for a book that's had, more than its fair share of fighting and fireworks and such, this book was very much kind of a slower, take from Matt again, a slow burn that was more focused on Batman's other aspects that make him, intelligence and quick wits and battle of the minds, more so than just brawn, even though there is at least one or two elements of that. So I enjoyed that part as well.
Yeah, it definitely made him focus more on his detective abilities, especially with him just going back and forth with the Riddler, and the Riddler accusing him of cheating, and he's not. It's just that this has happened before, and Riddler's slipping, so Batman's getting the better of him. What did you think of it, Jay?
I thought it was really good. You guys pretty much said it all. I loved how we're not getting a lot of punchline. It's not being thrown at us. We don't know exactly who she is, where she came from. I like that they're kind of taking their time and giving us little by little, because she's still awesome. You can still, somebody's going to come and ruin it, give her some lame origin story, and you're just like, oh, whatever, and kind of take away from that. But now, you're using your imagination and being like, wow, she's still pretty cool. You kind of don't know where she's coming from. And that, I was hoping to get a little bit, to get the Harley versus Punchline, like maybe a little bit more down the line. I was really surprised that they already showed it starting off, but I mean, that's cool. But the art was amazing. The way, the way the Punchline was drawn, and Catwoman and Harley, that whole scene in that bank, was so awesome. And it was well paced. It was the dialogue was awesome. But yeah, man, it was great.
Because that's the fight everybody wants to see.
I know.
Everybody wants to see the Punchline versus Harley. And
I'm already? I was like, okay.
Everyone wants to see the scorned girlfriend versus the new girlfriend, and that cat fight. And I don't know if we're going to get it. I know it pops off a little bit here, but, I don't know. I wanted a little bit more. And I guess I'll go into that when we get into our next review. But what's your guys' score for Batman 92?
I mean, out of 5, I got to give it a 4. Really, I've really enjoyed Batman since Tynion's been on it. Couldn't get any worse than. No, I'm just kidding. Not gonna go there, Matt. But anyway,
Hey. We'll do that. So IGN, for take it for what it's worth, they did the best comic book series of the decade, and guess whose Batman topped Tynion's?
Wow.
Tom King's.
Tynion's hasn't been going on for so long, and it's really been such a rough decade. Didn't it just start now, 2020?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
still,
2020's been a year from hell. No, I'm kidding. But yes, I see what you're saying. I mean, you can't say that he hadn't had some good books. You're right. I'm not gonna go there, but yeah. I've really enjoyed Tynion's work on it. It is yet another solid entry as we get up to Joker Wars and what he's been doing in Punchline, what's been going on with the individual stories, just gives me more and more faith as we round to Tynion's first major event with Batman in this way that is going to be knocked out the park. So, 4 to 5 for me.
Cool. I'll give it a 4.5.
oh man, almost a perfect score, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 3.5.
Oh.
3.5. I'm going to go 3.5 because this book was hyped. This book was overhyped. This book was hyped for months while we were on the coronavirus lockdown and while we were on that hiatus. And it was overhyped that it was coming back, and DC pushed it, and they're like, oh, it'll come back. And they overhyped that it was coming out in June. And they overhyped the Punchline. They moved the Punchline Art Germ variant to this issue. And then you only still get a little bit of Punchline.
Okay, so I'm going to push back just a little bit. I'm with you. I think 3.5 is solid, and I get what you mean, because it was pumped to high heaven about how good this book would be. But do you prefer DC's approach now with it than what we would have normally gotten, let's say, this time 6 months ago?
I like that she's not being in your face. Like, don't get me wrong. I like that she's not in our face and being jammed down her throat, but I wanted a little bit more. In this of her, a little bit more than her just showing up, getting that full facial picture of her saying she's not Joker's girlfriend, and then her and Harley Quinn throwdown. If I would have got maybe another page or 6 or 7 more panels of her and Harley Quinn going back and forth, this would have been a 5 for me. But because of the overhyping and because of the long wait and because of the fact that they moved this cover to this issue for that purpose, and you only get that little bit, maybe 3 or 4 panels of her, it's not, that's pretty much it. You don't get you don't get a lot of panels of her right now. That is, we still don't know. Okay, so out of everything this week that we've got her backstory. We've seen her. We still don't know her motive.
I like that.
I understand. Like that. No, I understand that. But we don't know her motive for what she's doing now. We don't know her motive for why she joined the Joker. You would think you would have got that in her origin story, and you didn't. And I understand you like that they're slow playing it and they're sizzling it out and they're building her up. I understand. But to me, like I just wanted a little bit more from this issue of her and Harley Quinn.
When's the last
they've planted this for 2 issues now.
Would you have preferred a Gotham Girl and Gotham introduction?
No. But like
Tom King did it.
They pushed this for 2 issues. They pushed this showdown for 2 issues. They teased it in the last issue with her and Catwoman, and now you get to it where they're about to hit off, and it cuts. So I mean, even like a couple shots in, a stalemate, and anything like that, where at least they do a little bit more than look like they're about to have a slap fight.
Yeah,
I'm sold. But it's
so you think it's more reality show type deal right now, which
yes.
Tynion has a way of leaning into, where it's just before the end, oh my god, it's gonna be great, and then the next episode and it's not half of what you expected, but then it builds up. Oh my god!
I kind of felt like I was watching an episode of Jersey Shore reading the end of this, because you're getting ready to have that big throwdown cat fight that they tease at the beginning of the end of the last episode, and you're waiting for it, 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 and it builds and builds and builds, and then they end this episode right when it begins. So now you have to come back for a 3rd episode before you get any more of it.
Oh no!
You should have gotten in the first.
Right.
Yeah, I get
Exactly.
you. With a bunch of outtakes and reverse angles. And,
So 3.5 for me for Batman 92. Story good, otherwise overhyped.
See, that's the thing, man. I don't read much hype about these things. I look at previews and when these things are coming out, and I don't want things to influence my.
Yeah, but I mean, with doing this type of podcast, though, we're more connected to this kind of stuff, and we hear about it all the time. Like, because you're looking for stuff for Absolute Geek, you hear about this, and then just all of the people we talk to on a normal everyday basis are so connected into this community that it just comes up, and you hear about it, and something stupid is like, oh, check out this stupid article about Punchline, and it's like, oh, okay, and it just kind of the speculation game. Oh, this cover's going to be hot. Look for this book. Look for this book. Look for this book. And even when stores were coming back from the coronavirus, it was like Batman 92 comes out this day. Still no DC's changing the way they're distributing, but no Batman 92. Batman 92. Batman 92. Batman 92. We get Batman 92, and it was kind of underwhelming. And I was like,
Because see, it's you're like the victim of hype.
Yep.
You know what? I'm gonna knock mine down. First time I've ever done it, mid-show. I'm gonna go to 3.5 as well.
Wow.
Yeah, Matt swayed me. That is true. That's true. I've been so hyped up on how I feel the series has been well written that I've been almost under the guise of, oh yeah, I guess you're right. I never did get exactly what I asked for or what I've been waiting for because I've been so 3.5.
I'm sticking to mine.
All right. I'm sorry. I hate to do it.
You're entitled to, sir. That you are definitely entitled to.
Yeah, it was good. I just realized, like, I almost feel like I'm punching this book for Tynion's few, in my opinion, flaws so far in Batman, but that is one. And yeah, I guess that's right. I've been talking about 92 since I even visually thought of 92. And here it is. And I'm like, yeah, it's good. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and move on to our next book we're going to review. I think it's only fitting. Let's move on to reviewing the Joker 80th anniversary special.
0.5 out of 5.
What covers did you get, Jay?
I just got the digital version, and I'm not even sure who drew this. It just has like Joker in a spotlight with like a bloody crowbar behind him.
Oh, that's the Capullo.
Oh, okay. So, but yeah,
that's Capullo. I got the Jock variant.
There we go. Yeah, I ended up going back and looking at the Jock one.
Which variants did you get, Corbin?
Remember, I didn't originally buy it. I went back yesterday as I was hanging out, and basically picked up one to put in a box. But it was a 70s variant cover, so Jim Lee Scott Williams.
Gotcha.
It's in my box, but I already read it. It's one of those.
So Joker 80th anniversary issue, not worth the $10. I'm gonna say not worth the $10. I am a huge Joker fan. He's probably one of my favorite villains, if not my favorite villain. In DC and maybe even comics period, but kind of underwhelming, not worth the $10 price tag. It's 100-page, spectacular. Look, I found 2 stories in this book interesting. One of them was Punchline's origin.
Yeah.
And the other one that I found really funny, maybe 3. So the first one where that doctor is trying to help a victim of the Joker's.
Scott Snyder's
one is good. The Punchline, the James Tynion Punchline origin was interesting. And then the one that I found that got me the most was the story where Joker finally gets what he's always wanted, but it turns out he doesn't really want it.
I know, that one was weird.
I loved that.
Did you?
I love that story that the Batman dies. Batman's dead. And the Joker is kind of going through all this like internal confliction of like, the Batman's dead, and now what's my existence? Nothing's funny anymore. There's no more punchline. There's no more reason for me to exist. And he's like, what do I do now? and it cuts to him working at a DMV.
I know, man.
It
I would have
cuts to
liked
him
it a
getting
lot
sick
better if I didn't
jollies,
see that.
telling people that they filled out a form wrong and they have to refill it out and go to the back of the line.
Wow.
That I thought was fantastic. But let's talk a little bit about the Punchline origin story in here from Tinian. So Punchline's origin is pretty simple. It's she's got an infatuation with the Joker, and not in that way, but kind of like, you know, she tells her dean or her teacher that some kids grow up to be heroes, some kids maybe want to grow up to be villains. And she's one of those people. She grew up idolizing the Joker, not in the same way Harley Quinn did, but she grew up idolizing the Joker to the point where she started making Joker toxin, and she was practicing and perfecting Joker toxin on students and animals and things like that. And then finally she uses it on her dean and her teacher, and she's kind of like, hey, you're the first one that this is successfully worked on. And then you kind of cut over to the Joker standing next to her. So the Joker sought her out. She didn't go looking for him like Harley Quinn. He sought her out. And interesting origin. Like I said, I wanted a little bit more from it. Corbin's liking the slow burn. What were your thoughts on this issue, guys?
You go first, Joe. Yeah.
Okay. Like most of these, they're very hit or miss. There were some that were the Danny O'Neill one was kind of funny, but yeah, they're typically not worth the price. But I knew so little about this book. Like I saw this, I got to because I just read it cover to cover. And I got to the Punchline story, and I started reading it, and then like they had a picture, like one panel of her. It's like, I go, is that her? And then I just kept reading. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is her. Like I had no idea this was even going to be in here. So it was a total surprise for me. But yeah, there were some pretty cool ones. I was a little bit disappointed with the Raphael Albuquerque one. Because it kind of seemed like a Fight Club ripoff a little, but the art was amazing, of course. But yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I'm with you. I don't think it was worth the price. And if we're doing ratings now, I'll probably give it a 3.
I'm gonna go 3.5 on this one too. I would have definitely preferred having those 3 stories as standalone issues versus having to buy the entire 100-page spectacular for that. But yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I got my $10 worth.
I mean, okay, so here's my rebuttal. When's the last $10 special that you bought that you did feel you got your money?
Right, you don't.
Yeah,
these
exactly.
specials as a whole, you're just kind of getting, I mean, the legacy creators and inspirations and some variant covers that look pretty cool. But as a whole, these stories aren't something you think people spend time crafting. It's like, oh, we'll just put these random guys on it. Let's throw together a story for it, and boom. I went into this knowing that I was basically throwing away $10, and that's what it felt like, you know? Like, and the funny thing is, I was even more happy about the Punchline intro or origin story because that's more or less what I expected. From the way it's been going so far, whether that's because I've gotten a hold on Tinian's writing and how it is a bunch of lead-offs and build-ups and maybe not the actual substance yet, or if it's because I was just in line or in tune with what I thought DC as a direction was going to do with Punchline. But I figured that the origin story wouldn't have the complete spell out everything that's happened up to this point in time. I figured they wanted to keep it as loose as possible, open interpretation, open to variation, something Tom King could have used more of when he was doing his story, so you didn't have to go back and remake stuff that we already knew wasn't the case. But going back to Punchline, I expected that, and it was semi-satisfying to get that. But as a whole, no, that story wasn't going to carry the book. In fact, no story actually did. It was a little bit of maybe, I don't even want to say a little bit of everything. It was 2 stories that were like a waste of my time, but a little bit of 1 or 2 that was like, oh, okay. You put that book out for $5.99. I feel a lot better about it. $10, I wasn't impressed.
$5.99 would have been perfect.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
Make it one more than the regular.
I think I'd have to go 3.5 on this one too. The Joker.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah.
Corbin's gonna go 3, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
I think there's some stories in here that I'm not even sure like I entirely got. It's like what was all this?
Weird. It was weird.
Yeah, there's a couple weird ones, but
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So let's move on to our next book for this week. Do we want to go another Batman book, or do we want to break up Batman? Do we just want to
get the Batman up and out?
Batman out of the way.
Yeah, let's get the meat of the bat. Well, sounded weird. Whatever.
Give the meat to the bat. All right.
I meant meat out of the bat, but that sounds even weird. Just let's continue.
Get the meat out of the bat. All right. All right. So I can't remember. I know we talked about this before the show. I can't remember if either of you read this or I was the only one. Let's go Batman Secret Files number 3. Did either one of you read Secret Files?
No, I did not get my hands
All right.
that.
So I'll save you some time. Batman Secret Files number 3 is another another one of those books that is made up of different stories. This one came in at a $4.99 price point, like we were just talking about. If we would have taken the 3 stories from the Joker, that's the price point you'd get. That's the price point you got for this Batman Secret Files number 3, coming in at $4.99. This is, like I said, this is another book that was all just collective stories. The only reason this book had a nice God, I don't even know where to start with this, honestly. The first story where he's fighting an assassin, it's fun because he gets kind of like, he's trying to bait her. Like he sees a lot of Dick Grayson in her as he's fighting her, so he thinks he can turn her to the dark, to the light side from the dark, and she gets the better of him where he's got his guard down and he's trying to talk her, to her as they're fighting, and she was like, "What makes you think that I was going to come over there? I killed these people for enjoyment, nothing else." She was like, "I wanted to test myself against the best, and you disappointed me," because she ends up poisoning him because he lets his guard down, and he goes to the hospital, and that's kind of where he has that realization that he can't let his guard down. He can't treat everyone that he sees in this state like they're Dick Grayson or they're vulnerable, and that he's got to come to terms with the fact that there might be people out there that this is just what they want. The second story that's in that setup is you get a nice little buddy team up with him and Green Arrow, where they're basically fighting, or Batman's being hunted, and he's not sure who he's being hunted by. And then you come to find out he's being hunted by Malcolm Merlyn, and Batman's like, "Well, I've been told that Merlin's been in the city for months and nothing's happened yet. What are we going to do?" And Green Arrow's like, "Well, if he hasn't made himself known to you yet, he's hunting you. He's a hunter. He's hunting you. So he's watching what you do. He's memorizing your steps, and at some point he's going to set a trap for you." And that's what he does. They come across the burning building with a little girl inside. Batman tries to go in and save her. Malcolm Merlyn takes 2 shots at him and basically shoots him in the back with 3 arrows. And moral of the story is him and Green Arrow escaped the building. And it was another story of, well, you got to be more careful and pay more attention to what you're doing. And it was just kind of a dumb story. The only takeaway story for this issue is that it's an issue that leads up into the Joker War, where you see Batman. It's Batman and Deathstroke fighting, kind of like you got in Batman 92. So it's kind of a tie-in with Batman 92, and you see prior on a deserted island, Joker shows up in a Hawaiian shirt, very Killing Joke attire, with Punchline to confront Slade Wilson, and he wants Slade Wilson to go after the Bat family. And Joker lays out his plan he reveals that Joker knows that Batman is Bruce Wayne. And Joker's plan is to go after Bruce Wayne's fortune. He's going to take all of his money. He wants to take the Bruce Wayne fortune, including all the trust funds he has set aside for Dick Grayson and Jason Todd and Tim Drake and Damian and all the trust funds he set aside. So he kind of coerces Deathstroke joining him because he gets to go after Dick Grayson again. And that's kind of what the issue is that's going to kick off Joker War. And the cool part is Batman and Deathstroke are fighting at the end, and Deathstroke's and Batman's like, tell me what this is. Tell me what you're doing. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out what he's up to. And Deathstroke basically tells him no, and Batman's like, fine. And he busts out a batarang and just stabs Deathstroke in the eye with it.
Wow.
And the final issue is Batman on his knees and basically asking Deathstroke again, saying, tell me what he's going to do. And Deathstroke says, you think this is over, but it's not. That's a funny joke. You have no idea why, but you will, Batman. You will. And it says to be continued in Joker War starting in Batman 95. So it's kind of that lead up into
everything tying together.
Yeah, it's kind of the prologue into the kickoff of Joker War. Again, another 3-5 for me, just because, again, the stories didn't feel like it was worth the money. I would have much rather seen this be just the lead up into Joker War instead of all these multiple tie-in stories. Some of them, like, I like the first one because it shows Batman can be arrogant at times, where he thinks that, you know, he can always do good and he can always turn people. He can always bring people over to the light. And because he's done it with Dick and he did it with, you know, Tim and he did it with Jason, he thinks he can always turn that bad seed that's lost. And he comes to the realization maybe sometimes these people are just that bad seeds. They're not lost. This is what they're doing. And they know exactly what they're doing. And he kind of let his guard down and he got a little bit of his own medicine when she poisoned him. But then the Joker, it was cool finding out the Joker knows Batman's secret identity, that he's known for a while, and he kind of just has ignored it. But 3-5 for me, just because there wasn't a lot there. It was definitely a prologue to the beginning of Joker War, which we're not even going to get for 3 more issues. So,
True that.
3 5s across the board as far as the Bat books are concerned this week for me. Not terrible, but not great either. I don't know.
A lot of mediocrity.
It's been pretty rough. Are we gonna get to the next Batman one? The adventures continue.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll go with Corbin's Batman's Adventures Continue.
Corbin's.
Yeah, it's me. Well, it came out April, online or a digital only, right?
Okay.
So this is the first week that it was available in print. So the majority of people will be getting it this week for the first time. You may have been a special person or especially comic starved with disposable income during the coronavirus shutdown when people were just buying it. But basically the same producers of Batman the Animated Series have come together to continue a comic series that is strictly in this animated series universe. Right off the end of the new Batman Superman Adventures in 1999, just before they had to go to work on Justice League and Batman Beyond. So it's that creative team going at it again. So you do have Paul Dini, Alan Burnett, Paul Dini, Ty Templeton, kind of at the helm of this project, which is just continuing the Batman story with new characters. Azrael is going to be making an appearance. Deathstroke's in it. Jason Todd's in it. Yeah, from that perspective, which I think is interesting. The art style is again, it's the same people from the series. So just put yourself in that perspective, and you have straight from that Batman Adventures. The only thing different is that it is more geared. It's kids can still read it. Definitely more geared to a older audience in some ways. Tying together, strings and whatnot. This first issue wasn't too crazy. It's Bruce Wayne trying to discover or trying to figure out why something from his industry has been broken into by this giant robot, and he goes to get the robot. The robot puts him down hard or whatever. He escapes. He's trying to figure out what does it have to do and why is the robot here and what's it to do with Wayne Tech, and why is it trying to take this artifact that hasn't been disclosed yet. Lex Luthor, incidentally, is in town. They have an interaction between him and Bruce where basically referencing the Batman Superman movie, of the mid-90s, and saying, listen, I tend to avoid Gotham since then, and Bruce, I know you don't trust me, and you think I was in league with the Joker, but I really wasn't. Now, Batman obviously knows difference, since Batman knows Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor doesn't know Batman, and Bruce Wayne are the same. But Batman's like, yeah, whatever, okay. And they ask about Superman, and Lex is like, oh, yeah, he went off about a month ago to fight Brainiac on the moon, and he hasn't come back yet, so I'm just here, trying to figure out things. And really, it turns out, long story short, that Lex Luthor is piloting the robot, of course he is, that has Brainiac tech to bond with Brainiac. Again, a precursor to the storyline that would happen in Justice League Unlimited. And it's being powered by a remote battery source that's giving it extra abilities. And it turns out that battery or power source is actually Superman, who had been kidnapped and brainwashed inside the machine. So Batman breaks it out, end of story. But there's a guy with a gray streak of hair in the shadows kind of watching Batman at the beginning of the book and at the end of the book and not really saying anything. He goes to this alley, and this guy's like, I seen you in this alley looking around, like, what's your business here? And he points a gun at him, and the guy's like, oh, forget it. And he goes back inside, and it reveals that it's Jason Todd, who's been following Batman around and is trying to, have his moment in the sun to confront him. Interesting, only if you're a big fan of the Batman animated series. I am, and so I would give it a 4 out of 5. It's just filling in gaps. I would love to see how they incorporate Jason Todd, how they incorporate Azrael, because especially in that animated series, both in TAS and in the new animated series, it is very short between Dick Grayson and Tim Drake, with no mention at all of Jason Todd. So I really think it'll be interesting how they handle that. But I mean, you have the creators at the helm of literally one of the seminal animated works ever. I trust them with Batman, and I trust this book. 4 out of 5.
There you go.
Nice.
Let's keep this Batman train rolling. Jay, you want to go Nightwing?
Oh yeah. So as everyone knows, Dick Grayson has lost his memory, and he's been slowly getting it back. He's had some setbacks. A few issues ago, Court of Owls came out and tried to play some mind games on poor old Dick, and it screwed him up even more.
On Rick Grayson.
Yeah. So anyway, last issue, when Dick Grayson realized that the therapist that was trying to help him was also in the Court of Owls, there was kind of a struggle, and she was like using this crystal to kind of like take his memories and kind of hypnotize him and giving him like a backstory of that he was actually raised by Talon and not Bruce Wayne, and he had like these parallel memories going on. And so during the struggle, the crystal kind of like went flying, and Joker came out of like the woodwork and like kind of picked it up and like took off with it. And so now you kind of see Joker making his move on Nightwing, and so he kind of he sneaks into, him and Dick Grayson and his girlfriend were sitting in the bar that she works at, and Joker provides like a distraction and gets Dick Grayson alone, and he kind of starts doing the same thing. He starts using that crystal to manipulate Nightwing's memories, and like towards the very end, he starts kind of like saying, that hey, that you were raised that it was actually Joker that like raised him from, as a child after his parents were killed and stuff. So Joker's like feeding him like yet another like BS story. So it's a fun book. Is it like really awesome? No. But it's fun and it's entertaining.
Kyle wants to know if Nightwing has finally picked back up, in your opinion.
Okay, so here's the good part. At least we don't. So Joker like killed one of the like the 3 or 4 people that were being Nightwing. So that was pretty cool. That one of them's gone. We don't have to deal with that. Has it picked up? The pace has picked up and it's finally going in a more interesting direction, but it's still not great. But it's fun and you just kind of have to roll with it. Nightwing, I mentioned to you guys that I've got like maybe 10 books that I'm always going to hang on, good or bad, and Nightwing is one of them. But it's getting okay. I'll put it this way: it's getting to a point where it could get good again.
Kyle said it had really taken a dive and was almost unreadable.
Oh yeah, it was. But now it's at a point where it could get good. Does that make sense?
Like you see the jump start of a potentially good book. You don't want to put like, oh yeah, it's back. It's
because the Joker War stuff is going to inject it with like adrenaline.
Yes. So I'm hoping this will be the jumping off point to return Nightwing to greatness once again. So I'll put this book. I'll give it a 3. Because, like I said, the pace was great. The artwork is awesome, and I'm hoping this is the beginning of something good here. So
nice, a 3.
Yeah, I kept going like in circles, like. You think he's getting out of it, and like, no, it turns out he isn't, and he wants to be Nightwing, but no, he doesn't, and it's like enough. It's like progression, but now it looks like it's finally starting to get out of that rut. I'm hoping.
Corbin, do you have another book you want to review?
I mean, not particularly. I read a Batman Adventures. I picked up accidentally.
Inside your Joker book.
Oh no. Okay, so I had a moment of I don't want to say comic dyslexia or whatever, but I picked up a book that I thought was the Joker 10th anniversary, and it was this, and I should have known. I'm looking back, I'm like, where's my Joker book? I'm like, and when did I get this? Like, oh,
POS sitting.
Exactly. And like, honestly, I guess I could draw something from this. The tale itself is a $1 comic, guys. It really is. If it's a collector's item, I'm sure it might be around as like the first ever Batman Adventures book. 1993 was the print date for it. Again, same creative team that made Batman the Animated Series. In the back is a really cool feature about what they plan on doing with the book that I just reviewed, Batman the Adventures Continue. But you have Ty Templeton, you have Kelly Puckett, and Rick Burchett as the inker. And I think, honestly, this is my professional comic expert opinion, the not having I guess Rick Taylor and Puckett come into play in terms of writing, because this feels more like the animated series in an episode than the actual Batman the Adventures Continue. And in some ways, maybe because they knew their target audience. I mean, Batman the Animated Series as a whole was a general audience that kids could definitely watch kind of show. It wasn't tailored directly to kids, but in the artwork style, there's a better use of shadows and colors and darkness that Batman inhibits in both the animated series and in the books and works immediately surrounding that show than there were in this, which really felt more like a Superman knockoff, even down to the giant robot and actual Superman in it, than it did a Batman story. It felt a lot more wide open. Aside from the cover, which really kind of gets back to that deco style that you would imagine from Batman the Animated Series, the rest of the book is a lot more open, a lot less of that darkness that we've come to expect from a Batman book, down to the backgrounds, down to the coloring. Whereas this original one, which is a Penguin story, nothing much to it. Really felt like I was going back into the animated show with the Shadow on the Joker and some fun work there. So not a whole lot there. It's $1 book. Probably the first and only time we're reviewing here on the spinner rack, but let's keep our options open. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. I actually preferred turning lemons to lemonade by grabbing a book I didn't mean
just like
to and being able to juxtapose that against the book same universe 25 odd years apart. What?
You froze.
What did you say, Matt?
You froze just a little.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. My back? Yeah, I'm good.
Oh.
Well, anyway,
Okay,
yeah. I like the fact that it just happened to be the same universe, and the difference in terms of storytelling and quality was actually there to be noted. Wait till issue 12, Corbin. Oh man.
That's Harley Quinn's first appearance is issue 12.
I was like, are we talking New Batman Adventures? Are we talking? Okay, thanks, Kyle. Appreciate that.
What was your score on that book?
3.5.
3.5. All right.
Get your kids on these books.
So I'm gonna go here with a book that I picked up the last couple issues, and this book is a weird book. It is a book that makes you think, but it is also an oddly enjoyable book, and that's Ice Cream Man 19. So this particular issue of Ice Cream Man, it's titled Ice Cream Man Chapter 19, Haunting for Beginners. So you follow a boy named Cass at the age of 9, 49, and 79. Okay? So it's like a beginning guide. So it's like step 1. The panels are like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So basically it's him as a kid when you start the book, it's him at 9, and it's like step 1 to be a ghost. You can't let people see you. You can't interact with people. You have to act like you're that there. Don't try to walk through walls. And it's like you're looking back at it as a kid, and he's like listening to his parents argue, and then he goes outside and he goes to his neighbor's house and he listens to his neighbors argue, and tries to get his friend to join him, and his friend's like, I can't, I'm grounded. And then so it's kind of like you're pretending as a child to be a ghost, and you're listening to everything around you, and it's like you're acting like you can't be seen, like nobody sees you. So then it cuts to him, and you see like all of the different issues that he's seeing adults have through his eyes, and people have behind closed doors as if you weren't there. So then he's going to this bridge where he likes to hang out, and he looks up, and there's a man that's standing on the edge of the bridge, and he tries to call out to him, but the man doesn't hear him. And next couple panels show the man take a step off the bridge and fall and land in front of him and die. So the man commits suicide in front of him. And then it cuts to him at 39 and kind of the same thing, where he's not being seen. He's not being understood. He's being ignored at work. He's being ignored by his family. His wife's cheating on him with her yoga instructor. His kids ignore him. And, she's just like, all she says to him when he comes home from work is clean the gutters. And then she rushes off to yoga. And he's like, I know she's cheating on me. And it cuts to a panel where he's standing on the side of the roof, just like he saw the guy in the bridge, but he chickens out and comes down. And then it cuts to him at 78, where he finds out that he's got a cancer diagnosis, and nobody is paying attention to him again. Nobody sees him. And he ends up dying, and the only one that's there for him is his oldest daughter. And like he wonders what's going to happen to him when he dies. And he starts floating up, and as he's in the sky, flying through the sky, he meets the ghost of the guy who jumped off the bridge in front of him, and they kind of fly off into the heavens together. And as I'm reading this book, I'm like, what is this? What's going on here? How, I don't understand this. And then at the end, it clicked. This book is a metaphor for how we view our lives. That a lot of times you go through life thinking nobody sees you, nobody hears you, nobody understands you. You feel like a ghost in your everyday life because people don't pay attention to you. People don't acknowledge you. People don't pay attention to you. Your own families don't do that. And it's kind of like weird how you play ghost as a child, and then it goes through to this when he dies. So it was a pretty interesting book. I'm not doing it justice in my review because I think it's one you have to really, really read, but it kind of like hit a spot with me. And these are Ice Cream Mans are very strange tales. They're not continued stories. Like each issue is kind of a different tale, but it was really interesting. And you kind of you got to look at it for yourself. But like I said, the different panels are like different steps, and
the layout is interesting.
So I gave this a 4 out of 5. I'm really interested in Ice Cream Man and just the odd tales, and kind of like it's a definitely enjoyable change of pace from what I normally read, and I'm gonna continue picking them up, I think.
Yeah, you've got me looking at it now. This is intriguing. One-shot tales of sorrow, wonder, and redemption.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle's crying. No one pays attention to me.
Oh, wow.
Under the oppressive of man, no one talks to me. Yep, that's pretty much how it is. Kick his tea in the pond. Yeah, it's like, you know, he's ignored, and his kids ignore him by the TV. His wife ignores him to go have an affair, and he's pretty much good for nothing, and you're overlooked your entire life. So it was pretty interesting. I would say if you like oddball comics and you're looking for something that's a different change of pace, definitely check out Ice Cream Man number 19.
Will do. Yeah, that's thank you for that. That's one of those books I think that can sometimes slip under the radar. And, you know, the whole art that is comics. You know, you have the big two, you have IDW, you have all these other guys. And you also have these stories that are just really well written, and I guess it's from Image, really good stories that just kind of float underneath. And this is a story I'm very interested in checking out. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right, let's go Daredevil 20, Jay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to preface this by saying I think Daredevil is my favorite Marvel book that they're putting out right now.
Oh wow.
It's Chip Zdarsky. Every time like they keep getting new writers, I'm like, there's no way they're gonna get better than the previous ones. And they have, amazingly enough. And I like it because it's so like gritty and street level. You know, you don't have Daredevil fighting, you know, Galactus or whatever. They keep it within his zone, within Hell's Kitchen. You know, and the things that have been going on with, so Kingpin is the mayor, and you know everyone knows he's crooked, but he got in there. Now you have another crime family, these billionaires that are trying to get power away from Wilson Fisk, and you also have these crime families, with a gang war going on, and then you also have Matt Murdock, who he got hurt like really, really badly a few issues ago, and you know he was sitting there, you know, sulking. Oh, I don't know, I want to be Daredevil. It's not worth it. I'm too old, and blah blah. And so Elektra comes and basically, you know, like slaps him around. And he's like, "What are you doing? You know, this is what you were born to do. Now I'm gonna she basically retrained him, and in this issue, like just all those things came to a head. You know, the family that was trying to out Wilson Fisk hired Rhino, Crossbones, and Bullseye just to go nuts in Hell's Kitchen. And so Wilson Fisk, you know, was ticked and they wanted a city destroyed, and he was out there, you know, fighting these guys. And turns out Wilson like planted Typhoid Mary secretly working in Hell's Kitchen, and she comes out, and it was just chaos. And in the middle of this, like Daredevil, you know, kind of
froze?
Realized that he was meant to do. No, kind of what he was meant to do. Oh, did I freeze? Sorry. And he was just kind of like realized his training. He was like top of his game, you know, in all this chaos. And Anyway, so yeah, it was a great issue. It was huge, epic battle. And story, artwork, aces. I give another 4.5 to Daredevil number 20.
Wow. You might have me checking that one out too now, because I've let Daredevil kind of slip through the cracks, I think.
Oh, dude, it's been so good. It's
And
been
then
so good.
You have another book this week in the old haunts number 1.
Yes. So let me get to that here. Old haunts. Okay, so it's basically, it was put out by the same company that put out Year Zero, that AWA Upshot, and it's another gangster, like mafioso type book, about 3 older mobsters that they basically they're another group that have kind of gotten top of their game, and one of them wants to get out of the life, and they all kind of were like, okay, well, they made this pact. Well, if one of us wants to get out, we all have to get out. So it has them going to a remote area where they like dumped all their bodies. And see, that it didn't explain this, but it showed them like dumping the bodies, and as they did, they put like the coins over their eyes with these X's, which was like an old it was like an old medieval tradition where it was like the money for the ferryman of the river Styx. So that's it. So the river Styx being like the where you cross over to the the realm of the dead. So that's where the coins come from. But when they were sitting there talking, and you could see all the bodies that were buried underneath them, like their eyes started lighting up. So they started kind of like, animating. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. It was okay. It was just a major setup for, see what's to come. So the story was, the writers are credited, Ollie Masters and Rob Williams, and Lawrence Campbell was the artist. And again, Lee Loffridge is on colors. It was all right. I'm still not sure if I'm going to come back. I'll probably give this one I'll give it a 3, and that's being a little generous, just because it was pretty slow moving. Not a lot happens, but art was pretty cool. And I just love like old game. I love Godfather, I love Goodfellas, Casino, and all those kind of movies. And this is kind of in that same mold area. Yeah. So I'll give it that, and I'll probably give it one more issue, and if it still doesn't take us in a fun place, then I'm pulling the ripcord.
Only one more, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it one more.
One more chance. Yep.
Only one. That's good. Good reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Good reviews.
Solid week. Solid mediocre week.
It was there were some solid releases. Just
not the ones I picked. No, I'm kidding. But I think
there were some solid releases, but I just think that the hype and the weight of it did a lot to affect kind of, I think, our scores on some of the books. It's hard to say would we have scored the book higher if it would have come out 2 weeks after the previous issue, or if there wasn't that big 3-month gap between issues, So
yeah,
who's to say if they didn't have all that extra time to hype up the punchline in Batman 92, and then that would give us what they gave us, who knows how we looked at that. Yeah, exactly.
Very true.
So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of news here. So we have The Brian Michael Bendis announced that his Superman run is nearing its end. I don't think any of us are super sad on that one.
Super sad.
I'm not super sad, but he did a decent job.
You think so?
It was decent.
It wasn't Tom King Batman, but I wasn't happy.
I think you need to go to some kind of therapy with your Tom King Batman issues, my friend.
Oh, because I'm scarred? No. After the War of Jokes and Riddles, I wanted to play a riddle on the joke of my life. Anyways.
The War of Jokes and Riddles is like the best story in that run.
Yes. It was everything after that went all kaput. I said after the Jokes of War. Oh, I see what you mean. I interpret it as if no. That was the few. I actually liked I Am Gotham too. Everything after that. We're not going back down that hole, but he was representative of how bad DC was with Batman, and Brian Michael Bendis was there with me in Superman. He just didn't go as bold and make as many crazy moves as King did. But I don't think that Ben, you could. What was one Bendis story that you look at and went on Superman? That was good.
Kyle disagrees with you, Jay, 100%. He says no, he didn't. Jay, he's like he shit the bed.
I liked the Last Action Comics. You know, when they brought Connor back and to meet what's his face, to meet John, and I don't know, it was okay. I was hoping maybe it would take off a little bit more, but you know, I'm not sad that he's leaving. It seems kind of fast. That's all. But
it wasn't to be, I guess. Yeah, I mean, he's been on what, a year? How long you been on? 2 years? I don't remember.
He's gonna move on to Batman now. He's gonna transition to Batman.
No,
he's not. Although I know Tinian wasn't supposed to be there for a very long time, so who knows who's gonna transition onto that one.
You're right. I think the rumors are gonna take it to 100 and then bounce, something like that. Yeah, that's scary. Jeez.
Probably to the end of the War and Jokes and Riddles, the end of the summer. Or not, God damn it, Corbin. Now you got me mixed up. The end of the Joker War, and then bounce after that. Aftershocks Comics is launching their support comic shops SOS charity one shot in an attempt to draw customers back to comic book shops and mitigate some of the financial hardships caused by COVID-19. Aftershocks Comics is launching a special 48-page anthology comic, Support Our Shops, SOS. It's going to be provided free to stores. The anthology will showcase work from both industry veterans and newer talent to help get people interested in back into shops and getting them to stay focused in supporting those shops again. So I think that's good on Aftershock Comics for doing that. We'll see how many other comic shops step up to kind of continue supporting the local shops and getting those shop owners back up and running. So that's exciting. What other pieces of news do we have? Image Comics publishers are slamming DC's psychopathic decision to leave Diamond distributors. So we talked about this last week, and I talked to a shop owner on Tuesday when I went to pick up my DC books, and you know, people are making a big deal out of the Diamond, or not Diamond, but the fact that Midtown owns one of these publishers, and so they're basically buying comics from Midtown and from the direct competition and online sales and yada 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 whatever. But as far as we were wondering, pre-sales and how pre-sales worked and all that, they're saying that they only pre-ordered up until where the cutoff date is in July for DC and Diamond. So DC took care of that. So they're going to make sure all those orders are fulfilled, and then everything coming out after that was ordered through the new distributors. So it's really not going to have an effect on shop owners. And right now it's looked at in DC Comics as if you want to buy DC Comics, fucking buy DC Comics. If you don't want DC Comics, don't buy DC Comics. And that's pretty much the gist of it. But
kind of just the bare bones.
But Image is kind of going after him, saying that it was a poor choice, and it makes everyone, you know, they did it. DC did it without any consideration of how it would affect the rest of the marketplace. So,
you know, that's funny. I was reading an article about that, and then somebody commented, That's weird that because wasn't Image founded on that same principle? All those guys left Marvel, in like a huff and started this company in like direct rebellion of the big, the major player. Like a company that was like based on this is now telling DC that it was in poor choice. It's just kind of it's kind of funny.
Yes, Kyle. Jesse James did say, if you want DC Comics, buy DC Comics. If you don't want DC Comics, don't buy DC Comics. As a shop owner here locally, he is the one that said it. Yes, and that's pretty much the consensus. It's you can sit there and say, we're not going to carry DC Comics in that shop. Oh well, people are just going to go to a different shop.
Yeah,
if they want the comic book, they're going to go buy it. So,
bottom line. I do wonder how it'll look though with more books having access to, I guess, days of old where you could buy them at supermarkets and more retail than just your local comic shop. Hopefully treated better than Walmart did with the comics that they've had, the Giants and everything, but just in general being able to go, I was looking at something like Denny O'Neil actually had said, speaking of him earlier, he said his pops used to go take him down to get like a gallon of milk for the family, and then there would be a wall of books in the store.
Yeah.
Like, are we going to go more to that with distribution being totally different and not just directly aligned with the shops, with the consumer having to go to different places to find their books? It may not just be, the local comic shop. If they don't carry it, they have harder access to get it. It may be, Lord help us, a Target or a Walmart or generic supermarket or retailer, where you get your groceries, whatever you need. You also happen to pick up books that fill in your collection or keep up with what's going on.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
All right, well, let's get to that part of our show where we review the books or talk about the books that are coming out next week, and we tell you whether they're going to be buy or pass. Remember, next week is an off week, so there is no Marvel books this coming Wednesday.
Or
the 17th. No Marvel books, only trades coming from Marvels. So if you're looking for Marvel books, you're going to have to wait another week. We're going to start off with... Get over here. Boom Studios. The final issue of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comes out. I am all on board for this. 100% on board for this book.
The final issue of the series?
Final issue of the series, yep.
Shift into yes.
Issue 5 of 5.
Shift into turbo.
WYND from James Tinian, #1 comes out. There is if you're a spec guy and you listen to Absolute Geek Podcast, you hear on Brian talking about on the top 10 Peach Momoko. Peach Momoko covers, Peach Momoko covers, Peach Momoko covers. Well, for WYND from Tinian, cover C is a Peach Momoko variant cover. So if you're looking for that, be on the lookout for that Peach Momoko variant of that book.
Where is that coming? Who's putting that out?
That is going to be Boom.
Oh, man, I haven't even heard of that. Huh.
So it is WYND #1. I will probably pick it up too as well because it's a #1 and it's from Boom, and Boom's been pretty good on their #1s currently as of late. So I'm going to take that up. They have Bill and Ted's Trade a paperback gift set for $40.
No thanks.
Peach Momoko, not Momo, Kyle. Dark Horse, we have Disney's Little Mermaid.
Disney's Little Mermaid. I'm good, but thanks.
Not this week.
DC, we have Aquaman Giant #4.
Just unsubscribe from all my Giants. It's been an expensive waste of time for now. I might get one I have price.
But the Aquaman Giant?
I had Untold Heroes. I was getting them all. I didn't even remember. But no. Long story short, no.
Batman and the Outsiders #13.
More than likely, I might look at it, even though the series hasn't been super great.
The big one, Dark Knight's Death Metal #1.
Yeah.
A hard pass for me because I didn't like metal, so why would I want to go for death metal?
Well, metal was overrated, but I thought it was a solid book.
There were they did some pretty creepy renditions of those Batmans from that dark universe. That was pretty cool.
That's going to be a maybe for me because, like I said, I didn't like metal, but this is
so meta.
This is Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, and I don't know. They'll
Flexing.
always have a special place in
your
my heart. Yeah.
Their weird costumes and overrated. Yeah, I'm with you.
Detective Comics 475.
Yes.
So.
Oh yeah, I gotta continue with that.
Flash Annual number 3.
Nope.
Probably.
Green Lantern Season 2 number 4.
Yes.
Hawkman 24.
No.
Metal Man 7.
Meta no.
The Question, The Death of Vic Sage, if anyone's reading Question.
I might look at it, even if it's only a homage to
number 3.
O'Neill.
We have the Nightwing Annual number 3.
Yes.
You might check it out.
Strange Adventures number 2 of 12.
Nietzsche.
Superman 22.
Yes.
That's a negative for me. It's a big fat no for me. Wonder Woman 757.
Yes.
Wonder Woman Dead Earth number 3 of 4.
Yes.
Young Justice 15.
Probably.
Possibly?
Yeah.
I'm on the fence.
Dynamite, we have Death to the Army of Darkness number 3.
Oh yeah. That's actually been surprisingly good.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, then I'm gonna have to check it out.
George R.R. Martin's A Clash of Kings number 4.
You said George, you lost me.
RR.
Red Sonja Age of Chaos number 4.
See, I knew Red Sonja, Vampirella.
Yeah.
One of those was gonna
Vampirella Red Sonja number 8.
be. Oh, so I had to
Get
combine
doubles
them.
right there, huh?
Ages, yep. With the Peach Momo cover.
Oh, so there is a Crow has a from IDW. It's called Crow number 1 of 3 Peach Momoko second printing variant cover.
What?
Like the Crow?
And then there's a
Okay.
Peach Momoko number 2 of 3 variant cover. So if
She's
you're
going crazy.
Peach
this
Momoko,
week.
yeah, she's
Hand over fist.
Peach
This whole
Momoko
month.
is everywhere.
This whole
Everywhere. Getting your little Peach Momoko covers on. Dying is Easy 5 of 5, the final issue of that. I reviewed issue 1 on this show, and I haven't been back.
It's been pretty good.
I liked it, but I can't remember why I dropped it.
It's very wordy. It's very dense. It's a Joe Hill book. It's almost like maybe DC was like, nah, like kind of like rejected that one from his Hill House collection. So he gave it to whatever publisher this is. It's putting it out, but it's been pretty good. It's just dense.
It's just not his best. Like, it's something that, like, from a spin chip off the old block, but not something he wanted to, like, fully put his name behind.
It's a murder mystery. Pretty much.
Interesting.
Moving to we got G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, number 272.
I wish G.I. Joe was good.
This country needs a good G.I. Joe. No, I'm just
Yeah, it does, man. It really does.
Oh, Jay's favorite book, Ludocrats number 2, comes out from Image.
No thanks.
Come on, you don't want Ludocrats number 2?
No, I might fold it up and make a good doorstop out of it, but other than that.
Birthright 44, if you're reading that. So it's gonna be a pretty light week next week. And again, no Marvel. Omni Press, you got Invader Zim quarterly.
Pasola.
That's pretty much it. That's it for next week. Next week is a lighter week.
I like those lighter weeks, man. You can kind of branch out and get stuff you don't normally get.
look at some things. That is true. That is true. I might have to take that philosophy, kind of adapt and see some things I normally wouldn't. Also, on the total other end of the spectrum, you can stick to the books you have and save some money.
Yeah.
Books that you won't get. So I guess either way you win.
Right.
So that's good.
Also, Birthright started so awesome. I feel like a lot of books have started so awesome and then died off.
It was funny. I was gonna
20
say I read the first volume of Birthright, and I thought it was really good. And I can't believe it's still going. It's crazy.
2020 started so awesome. Way to make it dark, Corbin. Anyway, yeah. Oh boy.
Way to screw it all up, Corbin.
I know. Had to be me.
But all right, I guess that'll do it for this week's episode of Tales from the Spinner Rack. You guys got anything else you want to touch on real quick?
Nope.
No.
Good.
I mean, keep them back. Well, we're not ready for our closing line. Keep them bagged and boarded.
No.
We'll get there.
No. All right, guys. Well, if this is your first time finding us on YouTube, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you had a good time. Leave a comment down below. Turn those notification bells on so you're notified when we go live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you're listening to this back on Tuesday, make sure to leave us a review, as that goes a long way of helping us in the podcast standings and letting us know what we're doing good and what we're not doing good, and what you might like to see changed about the show and our reviews. We welcome all what's what I'm looking for? Criticism. We're looking for all criticisms.
Check it out, yeah.
If you guys want more Bendis Superman reviewed, I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. he'll
I'm offering my service.
All the Bendis Superman you can have. All the Bendis Superman.
All you can have.
I just want to throw it out there.
But all right, guys. Well, for this week's episode of Tales from the Spinner Rack, my name is Matt.
I'm Corbin.
I'm Jay.
And we'll see you guys next week. Same Spinner Rack time, same Spinner Rack channel. Remember to support your local comic shop. Keep them bagged and boarded, and them pockets loaded.
Yes, he said it. Just for that, the show is perfect.